Hello and welcome to the Cup of Tri Triathlon podcast. We're brought to you every week by our sponsors oxygenaddict.com, fueledbycake.com and raceforce.co.uk. Helen, it is lovely to finally get to talk to you. How are you, my friend?
Rob, congratulations. We got there, didn't we? You got everything right then in the introduction. It worked. We're doing well. Let's just gloss over what happened for the past half an hour and say, oh my goodness, how amazing was the past weekend?
We've just got to say, I'm glad that Kona went more smoothly than my computer deciding to start installing its own updates just as we started recording. That's great. Well done, computer. Well done. Let's hope it keeps ticking over in the background.
Timing is key, Rob. Timing is key.
Well, it could have been worse. It could have started updating during the Kona party, couldn't it, I suppose?
Well, we had a few problems. If anyone else tried to follow it online, were you trying to update things every 5-10 minutes because the live feed would just keep on crashing? I'd say it wasn't quite so smooth.
You've got to imagine it's because there's so many people logged on, all excited about Kona, all buoyed up by the excitement from listening to the Cup of Tri podcast, haven't you?
Yeah, I think so. Hey, I tell you, I listened to I guess one of the pieces of work that I'm quite proud of, which is essentially like a little montage. It's like a 90-second montage of Ironman, basically. So in 90 seconds, there's like a little bit of dramatic music and then various different voices in it. And it's just quite, I don't know, you kind of get that feeling up your spine of like, this is inspiring. And I was listening to that on Friday, really kind of gearing myself up for it. I think I've put it on the at Cup of Tri on Twitter, so you should have a little listen to it. It's amazing.
Is this the thing you did for the BBC?
Yeah.
Is this the thing you did for radio where you interviewed loads of people and you've montaged it together, have you, for 90 seconds?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Well, I'm definitely going to put a link to that on this week's show notes then, so people can go and have a listen, Hells, because that was brilliant.
It's not the whole thing. It's just this literally 90 seconds. It features Lucy Gossage. It features Chrissy Wellington. Like, you've got the voice of Bob Babbitt in it, and it's like, this is exciting.
Well, it was exciting times, wasn't it?
Oh my goodness, the weekend, it was great, wasn't it?
Well, in my house, what we did was we introduced young Xander to the sport of Ironman because we had the laptop open on the table as we were having dinner so we could watch the swim start. And I've got to say that the natural spectacle of all of those people, you know, the shot from above when the guys all zoom off swimming, it was on in the background as he was watching TV while we were making dinner, and he came in and he was like, "Ooh, what's that?" You know, and he sat and watched, just completely gripped by it while it was all going on. So that was really cool.
So Rob, you've probably inspired him from the age of 2, 3.
Well, get this, here's a cute story, right? He's now in preschool, so he's 3.5. He's in preschool today, and at preschool their topic was being healthy. And the lady said to me when I went to pick him up, we were talking about being healthy today, and we made like little fruit kebabs he came home with, like a strawberry and a bit of melon on a stick. And she said, we're talking about being healthy, and Xander stood up and put his hand in and said, I know how to be healthy, and started doing press-ups on the floor. Now, neither Lindsay or I knew he could do press-ups, but the little dude can do like 7 press-ups and proper press-ups as well. He was going up and down. And as she was telling me, he was going, well, I'm getting positive reinforcement for this. So it must be a good thing. So he started doing them in the car park with all these parents outside. And I'm there in my running kit with a running buggy to pick him up anyway. So the parents already think I'm mental.
Yeah, and they probably think you're cruel to him for making him do press-ups or something.
This is exactly it. I think they think I'm running some kind of
walk?
East German hot housing sport kind of deal going on.
Oh, that is brilliant. I love it.
Oh, it's cool. He's a cool little dude. I'm going to apologise in advance because I'm going to be sniffing all the way through this. I've got a right runny nose going on, so I'm going to try my hardest to point the microphone in another direction when I've got a sneeze. But there's
just go and sneeze when I'm talking. Time it. Again, timing is key, Rob. Get it.
Hey, I'll tell you what, at the Kona party, somebody, I'm not going to mention names here, somebody showed up and not very well and had a little coughing fit, said, I've been really under the weather. And I noticed at least 3 people's faces just like go,
get out of here.
Get away from me. Yeah, exactly. That whole thing like, oh my God, I'm going to get sick.
Oh no, you've got it. So yeah, we had a little Kona gathering, didn't we? And we had the live feed on.
Your house this year, it was awesome.
I must admit, we couldn't start it at 5 p.m. because Wales were playing rugby, so we had to wait for a few hours before we could start it. So when the rugby was going on, I had the rugby on the television, and then I had Kona on my mobile phone. So I was trying to sort of semi-watch both. So I was watching them all come out the swim on my mobile phone.
So it did work on the mobiles this year, did
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
I think that's first year ever because it used to be on a funky like Microsoft Silverlight or something that you couldn't get on your phone. So that's cool.
No,
At
it
least
did.
they've upped the game
Yeah,
there.
I could do both. Watch rugby and watch Ironman. It was exciting times. But Rob, wow, wasn't it? Wasn't it good fun? Did you stay up then until the early hours?
I did not,
Okay.
and I'll tell you why, because this happens every year. The day after Kona is the day that I'm always the most inspired to go out training, and I knew I'd want to do this, so I arranged to go out and ride a sportive the next day. So I had to be out of the house at 7 o'clock to get to North Wales to ride the sportive. So I thought, right, left yours at 10:30. I was in bed at 11. Plan was go to sleep and get up early. Xander was sick and woke up and stuff, so I was up for a couple of hours anyway, as it was. But no, I went to sleep. Did you stay up?
I sort of went to bed, but then updating,
Couldn't stop doing it.
couldn't stop updating Twitter to see who was going to win. I was getting really,
Yeah,
really excited. And it's always then strange. I wasn't watching it on the video at like what one, half one, two, but I was following on via social media, and
I thought coverage was pretty good actually. I thought the video was pretty good. It was interesting the number of times that the coverage kind of froze,
yeah,
and then when you restarted it, an advert came on, and I'm wondering whether that was slightly intentional, possibly. Um,
it's like they have a
but
whole
you know,
stack of adverts ready waiting to go, isn't it?
we didn't see like in previous years. You've had the same two or three adverts repeated over, and it'd be like the Navy SEALs or whatever would be on the TV all the time. But at least it seemed like there were lots of different ones this time, and I suppose we can't complain because it is free, isn't it? It's free coverage,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
who are we moaning? And it's live from Hawaii, so
It was a bit annoying though when they don't go back to the women's race when the men are still finishing, and I guess that is when things are happening as well in the women's race, but they then carry on focusing on some of the men
yeah.
crossing the line. It's a
You
bit
you
like,
get
oh
the
come
feeling that
on,
they could get a person who's more into the actual sport of it, deciding which camera to cut between,
totally.
because you don't need to see hours and hours
No,
of
I think they need
men
me.
crossing the line. Yeah, they do. They need someone like there you go. Hell's you've made a job for
That's
yourself.
it. I need to go and direct the Ironman coverage for next year.
There you go, mate.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, if we've not got a corporate hat on, the coverage is rubbish in terms of that. It does need
Oh,
somebody who knows the sport to do it.
oh, honestly.
So maybe the time is right. They've got a new owner. They want to impress them.
Yeah,
You need to get in there,
I need
mate.
to get in there. It might take a few
It's
years.
worst
Um,
worst jobs to have, though,
oh
eh?
wow, yeah. Anyway, Rob, let's actually focus on the race, on the results.
Yeah, let's go. Come
Actually,
on.
hold on. Do you remember 2 weeks ago? What were your predictions?
My predictions were Jan Frodeno to take it.
Yep,
I called it from Sebi Kienle.
yep.
Didn't call it. And my third place was our friend Joe Skipper.
Okay, mine was. I said it was going to be Keenly. Then I said Frodeno. Then who did I say? I said Rayler.
You did say Raylert,
Yeah.
yeah? You absolutely did.
So
So between us, we got the top three, didn't
exactly,
we?
yeah. And then on the women's side, I said Daniela Reef. You did as well, so we both were right there.
Yeah.
Then we both
We
said
both
Carfrey, didn't
thought
we?
Rennie was
Riffy.
going to be in second.
And I said
I
third.
called
Go on.
I called Lucy
Yep.
Gossage. Now she got
Yeah,
10th.
I
You
called
called
Rachel
Rachel
Joyce.
Joyce.
And then again, right? Who did I say was my outside pick? Liz
You
Blatchford.
said Liz
Yeah.
Blatchford, that's right. You little beauty.
Yeah, I said Liz Blatchford. I said Lucy Gossage, and I said Eva Vuti as well. So she let me down slightly. But what we did say again, like last week, the week before, was that Gossage and Cheetham, we said would both make the top 10.
Yeah, now Cheatham was a mention, wasn't she? And she'd been on the under the radar
Yep.
of people who have under the radar radars. Torsten was talking about her a lot and saying she's really one to watch. I think we've mentioned her as one to watch from the basis of her performances when, like at Staffordshire, did she have two punches or one puncher or something? And it was like it didn't quite happen for her there, but boy, oh boy, did she deliver.
Yeah, she came sixth. Really, really impressive. And she,
Let's go through the results for the top 10 for the ladies and let's talk it through. Let me call up all of them here. The site says no, but we're going to ignore you. So, Daniela Reef, first place. Let's go through a 56-minute 14 swim.
yep, 450 bike,
Yeah,
which was
dominated the
pretty
bike.
much 10 minutes faster than
Yeah,
most of the others.
dominated the bike. And she basically just rode away from everybody, didn't
Yeah,
she?
yeah,
The only person who could stay anywhere near her was Jodie Swallow.
yeah, who then blew up on the run, or perhaps not necessarily blew up, but did not have the run fitness behind
Didn't
her.
have the run that she was capable of for sure, but still, I mean, she's been there on the front of the pack, hasn't she, for 6 hours or something? So, very slow performance. And when she gets a run of injury freeness, she's definitely a potential champion for the future.
Absolutely. So she ended up, Jodie Swallow, this is with a DNF, sadly, this year.
She did indeed.
Daniela Reef crossed the line in 8:57.57, the only one to go under 9 hours. And her run, Rob, 3:06.37. I think it was third fastest of the day.
I tell you what, though, man, wouldn't it have been interesting to see what would have happened if Rinny had been hit by a car 2 days before the race?
Yeah, totally.
Because when you put it in perspective, that 3:06 is 17 minutes slower than Rinny ran last year.
Yeah.
So
I think that even Rinny would have run slower. I think she would have got nearer, I don't know, like 2:55, 2:56, but I think everybody's run was slower because it was so hot.
That's right.
Like
absolutely scorching hot.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the big thing you can never account for, isn't it? Is who's gonna perform really well in the heat.
Yeah. And obviously,
but you know what? She's got the pedigree for it. She runs well in the heat every year. So
yeah, exactly. So I think it was domination by Daniela Reef. Really brilliant to see her actually go and fulfill the potential that everyone was talking about last year, and she got caught on the run. And then having won the 70.3 Worlds, and really she was the favourite. And to go into a race as favourite just adds so much pressure. So I think to deal with that and to have her race and execute it, she, obviously absolutely delighted. Rachel Joyce, so chuffed for her. She had a decent swim, so she was with Riff and Blatchford and Vesterby coming out of the water with them in around 56 minutes. Then for her, she didn't have the best bike. She was 5:01 on the bike, so she was a couple of minutes down on what she could do.
She dropped about 11 minutes, didn't she, on Daniela there?
Yeah, and she's a really, really strong biker, so it was good to see.
Be interesting to talk to her and find out whether that was tactical or whether it was just one of those days where she gave everything she could. Because I wonder, she's not had an injury-free build-up to this.
No.
So I wonder whether she was kind of saving back a bit, trying to sort of hedge for the run, maybe. I don't know.
Well, she did a solid run, didn't she? Just under 3:09 to bring her home in just literally 1 second under 9:11. So 9 hours, 10 minutes and 59 seconds she did. So chuffed for her to get on that podium again. She's only been off the podium, 3 times? Because didn't she come
super
sixth
consistent
the first time she did it, then fifth, then fourth. Then I think she did.
And she's been in there every time.
Yeah.
I'd love to see her results all stacked up. Come on, Torsten, add this to your website, mate. We need the athletes' names clickable with all their results to pop up on the screen.
Oh, that would be brilliant. And then
I bet he's got it in his spreadsheet somewhere.
Probably. Liz Blatchford, who now represents Australia, she was in third. Again, 56-minute swim, 5:07 bike, and she had the fastest women's run split of the day, but only by a few handful of seconds. She did a 3:06 run, and she really ran up then through the field.
Yeah, she must have come from quite a long way back there, because that 5:07 has put her, there's a whole bunch of girls biked between 5 hours and 5:04.
Yeah. So she really did.
She's really delivered, hasn't she, the run?
And
awesome.
What she said in the build-up to it was that last year things didn't go quite so well at Kona because she had changed how she trained last year. So this year she went back to doing what she did when she made her debut, which was 2013, and clearly it worked.
Sure did, didn't it?
Absolutely. The one, I tell you who
Fourth
else I'm
place.
really, really
Go
chuffed.
on.
Yeah,
Yeah, go on.
Michelle Vesterby in fourth.
Yeah, I was going to say, isn't that great? Because she had some absolutely rotten luck following the camera crew at Ironman UK,
Yeah,
and she ended up. I mean, here's a big question, right? We talked about the whole 50 women to Kona thing and whether you believe that 50 is fair or not. The underlying thing is these ladies have got to race at least one extra Ironman
yeah,
to qualify to the guys. And in Michelle's case, she's raced, you know, three-quarters of Ironman UK, got to the finish of the bike and realised she's been led massively off
yeah,
course by following the camera
yeah.
crew. So she's then been chasing around trying to get the points to get herself actually in there. What might she have done if she hadn't had to
I
do
know,
that?
I know. If she wasn't, if she was a tiny bit fresher, because she did,
Yeah,
yeah, she did brilliantly. She did a 5 hour bike, and then finished it off with a 3:17 run, which, okay, not the fastest of the day compared to, giving away sort of 10 minutes, really, to the podium girls. Um, but fantastic result for her. And my God, you can't imagine how how happy she would have been crossing that line.
well, actually, you've got to realise here, mate. She's 7 minutes faster than Blatchford on the
Yeah,
bike. She's a minute faster than Rachel Joyce, so she's actually come off the bike in front of both of
yeah,
them. And then they've overtaken her on the
yeah,
run. And you've got to wonder whether that run performance has got to be affected by the extra Ironman that she's had to do to get the
yeah,
points.
yeah.
In fact, didn't she have to go and do that 70.3 as well that Caroline had to go and do?
D-
She got her points at what was it? The last
Wiesbaden,
70.3.
no?
Yeah, Wiesbaden,
Yeah,
the European
yeah.
Championships. I'm pretty sure.
I mean, yeah, up until very, very late on, she was not going to Kona.
Yeah, she just scraped in, didn't
Yeah,
she, in the last
yeah.
cut? So good on you, Michelle. And she's got the best hair in Ironman as well. She's got proper, like, full on rock star blonde hair going on.
There you go. That's the prize that you get. Heather Jackson, she did brilliantly as well. It was her first appearance at Kona. I think she's missed out a couple of times recently. Has done really well at 70.3s. Former ice hockey player, Rob.
Oh,
Yeah.
good knowledge.
And then Susie Cheetham, absolutely chuffed for her. So she did a 57-minute swim, 5:14 on the bike, and then we know that she can run, and yep, she ran. She did a 3:06:55 marathon to finish off, and she finished in
Yeah, so right up
9:23.
there with the fastest runs of the day, isn't it?
Yep,
Within 30 seconds of the fastest run, so that's
yeah.
brilliant.
And then yeah, Lucy Gossage got 10th. She did a 1:05 swim, 5:02 on the bike, and then a 3:15 marathon to finish off in 9:28:36. And she's sort of said afterwards she couldn't be more proud. She suffered in the heat, so nearly quit, but I get a fruit bowl. 10th in the world, who would have thought it? And she also says, P.S. My next race is going to be hilly and cold. I hate, in capital letters, hate the heat.
Do you know, man, this brings up that question that comes up every year at this point, and I think it's perhaps getting more relevant as time goes by now. Ironman's now 35 years old, I think,
Mm-hmm.
36
Are
years
they going to
old.
move it round? Is that what?
Are they going to start shifting the World Championships? They'll still have Kona as some kind of showcase event. They've already started moving the 70.3s around. Will they start moving Kona I don't know, every other year, say? Will it go Kona somewhere else, in order to give different athletes a chance at winning who just can't put it together in the
Yeah,
heat?
because I tell you, the one who said she's just absolutely rubbish in the heat in the run up to it, Meredith Kessler. Okay, now this, to me, this is one of the most impressive performances of the day, right? 56-minute swim, completely up there. 5:37 on the bike, so quite what went on there, don't know, because
Starting to melt.
she's not a
Yeah,
bad cyclist at all, but really off the pace there. Marathon, 5:44:57. Like
yeah,
most pros at that point would totally have called it a day, wouldn't they? She finished in
yeah.
12:26. Like so unbelievably off the pace for such an impressive athlete. And or I don't know, she just in pre-race stuff, she literally just said, "I have never nailed Kona. I just can't cope with the heat and the humidity."
Yeah,
So
yeah.
don't you think that is impressive though, Rob? to carry
I
on.
do. The fact that she's honoured the race and she's got all the way through and she's done it. Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
45 minutes behind the I want to say like second to last pro woman. I mean,
Yeah.
just I think that is true champion spirit. Because what the easy thing there would be, you know what, I'm going to quit. I don't need to finish this.
Well, about half the ladies' field did, didn't they? And again, the question is, from a professional point of view, the what have we got here? 10, 12, 14, 15 ladies who did not finish for whatever reason. Are they making a sort of smarter, in inverted commas, professional move by deciding they're going to bounce back from this and go and win Ironman Florida next week or the week after or whatever? Because at the end of the day, these races are really hard on your body, and I think it's something that Greg Bennett used to say really stuck with me. He said that he would either win or be second, or he would be nowhere.
Yeah.
He wouldn't finish.
Yeah.
It was like an all or nothing. You should go and check him out. Actually, some great videos of him racing Olympic distance stuff, where he's coming out of transition, literally running as fast as he possibly can to try and break the opposition. And it's a strategy that Tim Don took on in some of the races he won. What's the big race in the USA called there's like a 250 grand on the line? Was it the Lifetime Fitness?
Well, Hy-Vee. No?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Well, they used to have a series of 5 Olympic races, non-drafting in the US, where Hy-Vee was like the culmination of it. But if anybody won all 5 of them, they'd get like 250 grand plus a 250 grand bonus. So the year that he was racing it, he'd won all of them, and if he won this last one, he'd get $500,000 on the line.
Oh my goodness.
So there's this great YouTube video of him coming out of transition, and it's just like all or nothing. 4:30 something first mile to try and break everybody, and he did it. And years later, Tim Don did the same thing. He won it by just killing everyone coming out of transition. So yeah, interesting. Not Iron Man, but still great competitive spirit.
It is an interesting debate as to, you know, do you quit or do you carry on? And I think there's pros to each, but I think to have, because it was similar. Lucy Gothage did the same last year, didn't she? She finished and she was walking the marathon. So I think it makes a good
And
impression.
does the island give you something? That's those rumours where if you take a piece of lava off Hawaii with you, you've angered Madame Pele and bad luck follows you. And there's all these stories about like hundreds of people literally post back a piece of lava to the visitor centre on Hawaii and say, please put this back. Bad luck has plagued my family since this. Like, this is serious, Hells.
Oh my God.
People really, really believe the curse of Madame Pele. So it's like maybe Meredith will come back next year and she'll place in the top 3 or win it. It'd be a great story if she did,
That
wouldn't
would
it?
be incredible. Because somehow in the space of a year she would have to have learned how to deal with humidity and heat. So yeah, that would be pretty impressive. Rob, should we go on to the men's race?
Nah, let's skip the men this year. Let's do it. Come on. Quick break to blow the nose and let's do this thing.
Okay, so the men's race, going into it, it was all the talk, wasn't it, between who was going to win? Was it going to be Jan Frodeno? Was he going to add to his Olympic title from 2008 and his 70.3 world title? Was he going to add Kona to that? Because he raced last year, but he did well, didn't he? Got third, but he had a couple of punctures which slowed him. No, did he have a puncture or did he have a penalty? He had everything, didn't he?
Year. Yeah.
Against Seb Keenley, who won last year, and it was going to be like the showdown between the two of them. And Jan Frodeno he was in control, wasn't he?
He was, yeah. I think the dark horse of the day award goes to Tim O'Donnell, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
TOD, because he kind of shaped the race by being at the front and pushing the pace, and really left nobody in sort of any doubt as to how the race had to go, basically, because he pushed and pushed and pushed, and took Frodeno and our man, what's his name, Keenley, with him on the bike. Interesting that we didn't. Well, first let's talk about the swim, right? The first thing, we've got 3 away on the swim, haven't we?
Yeah.
Jan Frodeno sitting happily in third with a nice draft from
Dylan McNeice
Dylan McNeice
and Andy Potts, wasn't it?
and Andy Potts, yeah. So he just sat there, and those guys came out of the water with, in the end, it was about a minute and a half, wasn't it, on the chasing
Yeah.
pack. And the news there was 30 of them
Yeah.
coming out of the water, a second pack of 30 people. And when we saw that Keenlay was in there, everyone was like,
Oh, that gap is
yeah,
very short compared to last year. He's
game
closed
on.
that. Yeah.
He's going to be leading by mile 10. But didn't really play out that way. You know, there's a lot of guys rode within a few minutes of each other this year. There was no real sort of stand out, smash it on the bike kind of performance, was there?
No, no. And I mean, do you think that was because they wanted to save a little bit for the run or tactics?
I think that I think probably Tim O'Donnell took it out at a pace that was fast enough that anybody who wanted to go by, because like we're saying, it wasn't particularly fast, but it was
Yeah.
426 to 425, 427. So that's pretty damn fast, actually.
Yeah.
Fastest ride ever is like 418. So maybe what it did was it was fast enough that it discouraged anybody from going on that kind of suicide mission off the
Yeah.
front. Be interesting to know what Keenlay rode last year, actually. I'd have to look that up. Maybe it was low 420s. But what's noticeable is the number of people who really raised the game this year.
Yeah.
There must be 10 or 12 have ridden in the mid 420s, which would have been unthinkable a few years ago.
So they've all concentrated on the bike.
Yeah, it does look like there's that kind of second pack is now the first pack, and there's 10 or 15 people who can ride at that pace, and it's changed the dynamic totally.
Yeah. It was.
Um,
And then the run, the fastest run of the day went to David McNamee.
Dead hats off to the boy. He really performed, didn't he?
Yeah, he finished 11th, didn't he? He did a 2:49:52 marathon to finish, and to take 11th in 8 hours 32 minutes and 27 seconds. Yeah, really, really solid debut performance. And he actually had a penalty. And he said,
I was gonna say, did he get stung for a penalty
yeah,
as well?
he said fastest run, 5 minute time penalty, emergency toilet stop, forgot all my gels, rookie, very happy with 11th at my first Ironman World Championship. So given all of that, that kind of says, wow,
Yeah,
maybe,
well,
maybe he's found his niche.
the argument is always like, if you take a 5 minute penalty, does that help your run legs? Well, we don't know, but a 5 minute penalty off his time would have put him in 6th or 7th. So there was only like 5 minutes between the 6th and the 11th. He rode 4:45. Now, if he can raise his bike to ride 4:25, well, let's put this in perspective. He outsplit Joe Skipper.
Yep.
In Ironman UK. So we know his bike power's there. Skipper rode 4:28, and if he'd ridden 4:28, he'd have won it.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, he'd have been in a sprint out with Jan Frodeno. So, you know, the fact that he can run hard off a tough bike, where you must think he must have been riding on his own for a big section of that.
That's impressive.
Yeah,
really
is impressive.
So yeah, top three: Jan Frodeno, Andreas Raelart was second, and Tim O'Donnell third. Husband of Rini Carfrey, so maybe he was sort of doing it for her as well, Rob.
Maybe. You gotta wonder whether he even knew.
I think he would have found out. Because she was then cheering him on. I'm sure he would have found out, definitely, from pacing and stuff.
Yeah,
like, oh my God, my wife's there.
It would do you boxing that though, wouldn't it? If you're racing for the win and you've got all this worry about your wife having dropped out, it must be very difficult for them both.
Yeah.
It must be very hard to focus on
your race,
just what's going on in your own head, mustn't it?
Yeah. Wow. Seb Keenlay finished 8th in the end.
Good to see Andy Potts getting 4th.
Yeah.
That's a really good performance from him. Holds on, just missed out on the podium.
4th last year as well, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Oh.
Shame, because he's, you got to wonder whether if he didn't drill it quite so hard on the swim,
would he have a little bit more energy?
Yeah, would he have a little bit more later on? Maybe he just can't swim any slower. Maybe that's him just swimming.
One pace.
Steady bilateral. Yeah.
One pace swim, that is it. So Joe Skipper came 13th. So he finished in 8:36. just ahead of Lionel Sanders, who we said they were pretty similarly matched, didn't we? And then Tim Don in 15th.
Yeah.
Should I tell you one?
The interesting thing
Go on.
with Joe and Lionel was we thought that Joe and Lionel were sort of a similar standard of swim,
Yeah.
and they were a similar standard on the bike,
Yep.
and they'd sort of, that's how they'd been at Texas. Joe outsplit him by nearly 4 minutes on the swim,
Yeah,
and I overheard a little bit of commentary at the start. You won't have heard this because we were watching dinner at the time, and the commentator was saying, Matt Shrabo is, how can I say that? Shrabo.
Yeah.
Matt Shrabo is definitely pulling Lionel Sanders. He's definitely working as a domestique for him.
Oh.
And he was deliberately swimming and looking backwards behind him, lifting his head, doing like a half backstroke stroke to check the guy was still there. And they'd obviously heard a rumor that he was going to do this. Because I've got to say, it wasn't that obvious. Just that, I'm not exactly a layman, but I'm not a trained eye. But it wasn't obvious he was doing that. But you were thinking, okay, well, that guy's there and that guy's there. So they knew something, and they turned it over to Matt Dixon from Purple Patch, and he was like, "Is he really? Are you sure he's doing that? Because that's really put him on the spot.
Oh.
That's really interesting if he's doing that kind of thing."
Well, Shrabo came out in 101.04. Then you had Michael Weiss coming out in 101.13, and Lionel Sanders 101.10. So
so he sat on his feet the whole way through.
Interesting.
Interesting.
And
so real good ride from Joe Skipper, 4:28. Considering he came out of the water in 50th position, and that's a big gap to the group, isn't it? Like 5 whole minutes is a big gap to the group.
He can't have come out in 50th, can he?
Yeah, 57 minutes 31 was 50th position.
I'm being really thick. There are 50 male pros.
There's more than that.
Okay.
No, there's not. All right, maybe it wasn't quite 50th. Maybe I've misheard what somebody said. But there's 1, 2, I can only see 3 swim times. So let's say he was mid-40s then, in terms of that. But then he's ridden through really, really well, hasn't he?
Definitely.
Must have passed people all the way and then continued to pass people on the run. So I know 3:04 wasn't the run he was hoping for.
But in that heat.
Still, in that heat, absolutely.
Yeah, and it looks like he looks like he had a good time. He's put photos up, just full of smiles and with the all-important beer. And I reckon if you had said to Joe 2 years ago, you're going to come 13th on your debut in Kona, because you were actually going to be there in 2015, he would have probably been a bit like, well, I want to, but right.
Yeah, I'll take that. Yeah, thank you very much. Totally. Yeah.
So I think a brilliant debut performance from Joe, and I'm sure lots of people know, and he probably knows he can, again, push hard over the winter, and he's capable. He is right up there.
Yeah, definitely.
Isn't it? 13th best in the world. It's not bad, is it?
13th best at Kona. There's a lot of guys who've been to Kona lots of times and not managed to do that. Right, I tell you what, let's talk about implosions, Hell. Let's talk about what else went on and people who detonated. Looking down the field, we have got... I was
Freddie
really
Van
rooting
Leer, he detonated.
He did, yeah. But he was racing for the win, wasn't he?
So.
Put the swim and the bike out there and then just... It's guys like that, 3:39 marathon. Now, that's not walking it in. No. That's still, the agonising 8-minute miles with your quads on fire, isn't it?
Niels Fromhold as well. He had been a top tip, hadn't he? He struggled. He came in. He did a 3:37 run as well, 9:16.
Yeah, Benny Hoffman 3:39 on the run, Cal Buckingham 3:36 on the run. So you gotta hand it to these guys. Dylan McNeice, after leading the swim out, 4:07 on the run. That's a long day, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Long day. And right at the back there, the thing I tell you what I noticed, mate.
Go on.
This is kind of cute. Right at the back of the field, you've got Dylan McNeice and Tim Van Berkel coming in together, a second apart. Both of them with like 4:10 to 4:25 marathons. So they've obviously come in together and like suffered in the lava fields together. God. And then in 37th and 38th, you've got Matt Shrabo and Fraser Cartmel. both of them again with 4-hour marathons, coming in a few seconds apart there. So you've got to imagine they've consoled each other to the finish.
Oh, God. Fraser Carmel said, that was a longer day than I'd planned. So pleased for this superstar, though. Second in her age group and third age group overall. So his partner, we will come on to Ali Rowett in a little bit. But yeah, Fraser obviously not having the day that he'd wanted out in Kona.
No, not at all. God bless him.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, though, Hells, I wish I could ride 5:12 at Kona, having a bad day.
I know. Oh, he did even get chicked by her as well.
Good.
So there we go.
Well done, Ali. Right, I'll tell you what, let's hit some Great Britain age group action now, Hells. Let's see where we go from here. This is a lot of information here, courtesy of the wonderful Try 24/7 website. Great write-up on there. If you want to go and check this out, it's up on their website at the moment, and we'll put a link up to it as well.
I think we have to start in one place, Rob. I know there are many, many performances, but I think to do the double, and we spoke to her a couple of weeks ago, and to outswim pretty much most people there, Lucy Ann Charles is now the 18 to 24 World Ironman champion.
And also World 70.3 champion.
Correct.
In the same year.
Yeah.
Just mind-blowing.
Awesome.
The most impressive part about this, for people who haven't heard already, and I'm sure everybody has, she swam 52 minutes 20, which would have put her 2 minutes 45 faster than any of the pro women. Okay? Now, that in itself, you're thinking, okay, you're just showing off now. Now you're gonna detonate. But she hasn't done at all. She's gone on to win her age group by 30 clear minutes. It's unbelievable, isn't it?
It's really, really impressive.
She'd have beaten Andreas Rayler and Tim O'Donnell out of the water. It's mental.
It is,
She's so good.
I know. So I guess now for her, pro.
Well, you know what, mate? Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. She's gone 10 hours 20 overall, hasn't she?
Yeah.
So if we go over onto the Ironman tracker and I pull up the ladies, 10 hours 20 has got her
29th, 30th? No, there was
something like that, isn't it? Lucy Charles. Do you know, Ironman website, raise your game. Somebody out there who's a web designer needs to go to Ironman and go, do you know what, boys?
She would have come in 23rd place with
23rd
with
place
10:20.
overall.
Yep. Just behind Deedee Griesbauer.
Not shabby. Not shabby at all.
So.
I think she needs to go away, though, and she'd benefit from another few years of working on a bike before she decides to jump up to pro, because you're going to put a lot of pressure on a young person to turn pro at that age. Yeah. She's super swimmer. And of course, she's got the thing where she could go and race for free, I suppose, in all the local Ironmans in the UK and get on the TV. So that's one thing. Yeah, yeah, we'll see.
Interesting. But she will definitely, there will be more coming from her.
Damn impressive performances. You've said it.
Totally.
Next up, you've already mentioned, haven't you? Ali Rowett.
Yeah. So she got...
Fraser.
Yeah, she got second. This is from Team Free Speed. She got second in the same age group, 30 to 34, 2 years ago. And she's followed it up again this year. And... she's just brilliant, isn't she? And in terms of time, she did 9:57.
Scorching to go sub 10.
It's amazing, isn't it?
That's really, really, really fast, isn't it?
Really amazing.
I feel like she kind of deserved the win, you know? Going that fast.
I know.
She'd have been, 18th, 19th pro? Yeah. So, again, storming performance.
And I know,
well done,
I
Ali.
think I've read interviews with her in the past, and I think the questions come up, so you're going to go pro, you're going to go pro. And what I've read before is that she's like, no, my swim isn't strong enough. But I don't know. And maybe she, enjoys work and stuff, and actually has it. She loves racing, but she has other stuff outside of racing, and she can still do blooming well with working too.
Yeah, I think it's a difficult jump, isn't it, to go to race pro. If your swim isn't super strong, you're gonna, the gun goes.
Playing catch up.
And mentally, that's going to kill you for the first hour of the day, isn't it? Whereas if you race an age group, at least there's a lot of people around you.
Yeah, totally. So she got second in her age group. We've mentioned Lucy Charles got first. Jane Handsome, only her second Ironman. She got second in the 45 to 49 category. Again, she did 10:31. Rob, she's amazing.
Storming, yeah, really
She's
cool.
been training with Brett Sutton, I think, this year, and been on a few training camps over in Korea and out in Switzerland as well. So, yeah, that's really, really impressive.
Good work, Jane. We've got Caroline Whitaker, third place in the 50 to 54 category with 11 hours 16. She's from Hillingdon Triathletes.
Yeah, and then Maxine McKinnon, 55 to 59. She got third in 11:52.
3:41 marathon. That is blooming impressive, isn't it? Especially at 55.
It's incredible. And then
Linda Ashmore takes third place.
In the 65 to 69 in 15 hours and 11 minutes.
That's a good performance, man.
Yeah.
65 plus. It's
amazing, isn't it?
Scorching, yeah. Previous winner of Ironman UK and Ironman Wales. I'll have to talk to her.
Yeah. Oh.
Anyone knows her, get us in contact, please. And a few more. We'll move on to some blokes here. Reese Barkley, fiance of Super Lucy Charles. Yeah. Fifth place in the male 18 to 24 with 9 hours 50. What does that say there? Secured the final spot in the top 5 by just 23 seconds.
That would have been an interesting little sprint finish there, wouldn't it?
But not as interesting as the next one.
Oh, no. Charles Pennington, he got second in the 35 to 39 category in a time of 9 hours, 1 minute and 44 seconds. But agonisingly, it was 6 seconds, wasn't it?
Oh, 6 seconds off the age group win.
Yeah.
And was that, in fact, second place age group overall as well?
Don't know.
I think it was first and second. Apparently, he was 6.5 minutes down with 10 miles to go and ended up 6 seconds down.
Wow.
And the photographs of him, man, the guy is just ripped.
Oh, my goodness.
Good effort, Charles.
Did you say, was it for second age group overall? Second?
Yeah, no. I think so.
Yeah, it could have been.
You do the next one and I'll check.
Richard Hobson took fourth in the male 50 to 54 category. He did a 9:54. Former pro.
Yeah, Richard Hobson's one of the guys from back in the day.
Okay.
He was a superstar back when, and now sort of has a family and coaches, and has returned to racing in the last couple of years and is just dominating stuff again.
You'd be gutted if you were in his age group, wouldn't you? Being like, yeah, he used to race professionally.
Well, have you seen who finished one place ahead of him in that age group?
Oh yeah, Jürgen Zach, who is a former mentalist on a bike.
Yeah, former, very, very close to winning. Jürgen Zach's the guy who was leading Mark Allen by 13 minutes with 13 miles to go in the last one Mark Allen won, and Mark Allen ran him down, and it was just like, yeah, he was super biker, Zach Attack they used to call him.
God. Rob, do you think former pros should then be able to race age group?
You know, when it gets to this age group, yeah, absolutely. 50 years old, absolutely. Good for them. And I think this is how it should be. I think the dubious line is when you get like a 35-year-old former pro who decides he's going to race age group. I don't know if you'll remember this, but back in about 2007, 8, yeah, sometime like that, when Ironman UK was in Sherborne, there was an age grouper ended up leading off the bike. And the commentary was all like, this is the most unbelievable performance ever. And this guy ended up finishing, I think, third overall. And just, only just crossed the line. It's worth watching because this poor guy is a Belgian guy, as close to like physically dying as you've ever seen. just gets across the line. They kind of fold him into a wheelchair and wheel him away with blank eyes. Frank Van Heldendorn or something his name was. But it turns out he'd been pro up until
The
like a
day before.
month before. Yeah, pretty much. So all the pros knew who he was.
Oh,
Um, yeah, really, that's kind of contentious, isn't
yeah.
it? Because then if you're 35 and you're going,
Oh,
oh,
I
I'm
haven't
racing
quite
you.
made it there.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think that we'll see a lot more of this in the coming years because a lot of these guys, to do Ironman as a pro, you've obviously made athletics your life,
Yeah,
haven't you?
totally.
And you're really into swim, bike, and running. And so why wouldn't you want to have a pop back to Kona and see how you'd shape up? But yeah, you do feel sorry for like Pete the Fish
That's it.
racing
You kind of, but yeah,
Hobson and Jürgen Zach.
yeah, exactly. You're never, so for the, let's say, more normal age groupers, they're never going to have a chance.
Do you think there should be a sort of former pro
Yes,
category?
yes,
Well, they do let former winners go back, If you've
yeah.
won Hawaii, you can go back and race in your age group for life. You've got like an immediate slot whenever you want to go back. So when Gordo was training with Scott Molina, Molina can go back whenever he likes.
Mm.
They've just got like the standing invite kind of thing.
Yeah, I just think it is a bit unfair on the normal age groupers because suddenly then it takes away a few positions, really, doesn't it? It kind of nullifies them. Anyway, Rob, have we mentioned Raymond Gray, male 70 to 74? He took third in 13 hours, 59 minutes and 1 second, and only 6 minutes
Is
separated second, third, and fourth. God,
70 years old and doing sub
that's
14 hours.
mental.
That's, isn't it
Wow,
just
that is mental.
fair
The
play?
prize for the fastest age grouper of the day goes to the guy that Joe Skipper had been training with, Malta Bruns. Bruns,
Yep.
right? Finished in 8 hours and 52 minutes. Now, when we heard from Joe last week, he said that he was still training like an absolute mentalist, even a few days
That's
before the
right.
race.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he, yeah, I don't know, maybe,
Imagine if he tapered.
yeah, tapered. And interestingly, he did the run with a hydration pack.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Ah.
So,
Well, I was listening to a podcast earlier today. Some scientist dude has invented. Do you remember me talking about a few years ago? There was a massive pro guy who used to run with a rubber glove on one hand and fill it with ice at aid stations. Do you remember me telling you about
and
this?
then you would, I think you've mentioned about a bag and filling it up at aid stations and then shoving it somewhere.
Well, what this guy did was apparently the palm of your hand has got more. It's like a little radiator for. It's really effective at getting rid of heat and at cooling you down. And he ran with a plastic glove on and filled it with ice. And, for years had the fastest bike split and then melted down. And his name is now completely gone. And I can't remember for the life of me. Torbjorn Cinderball, his name
Oh,
was.
yeah, okay.
Torbjorn means Thunder Bear, which I think is the best name in the world. And I wish we'd called Zan the Thunder Bear. That'd have been brilliant. But anyway, this year he had his breakthrough and he finished second. He set the bike course record and held on for second. And he had this like bag of ice in his palm, and everyone wanted to know what was going on with it afterwards. Well, they've just invented a commercial version of it that comes with like it's not iced water they pump through, but really cool water. But they monitor the temperature of the water, so it's just cold enough to cool you down. And apparently, it's really effective at cooling down your core temperature.
Wow.
Lucy Gossage, get on it, mate.
Okay.
She needs one of those for next year.
Yeah, now interestingly, so her sabbatical was 2 years. So I've heard her say she would like to do Kona perhaps one more time, maybe, depending on what the result was this weekend. So yeah, I think she'll have a tricky decision, interesting chat with her bosses.
Yeah, it's a tough one for Lucy, isn't it?
It's a really, really difficult one.
If your limiter is the heat, is that going to change for next year? Or could she find like some wealthy benefactor who's going to go, right, here you go, I'm going to pay for you to come and live in Kona for 3 months beforehand and get used to it? Yeah,
really, really,
interesting.
really, really tough one. So, yeah,
it is, and she's got a lot to contribute.
Yeah, totally, and the land of work will be calling as well. So that's a really.
The world needs cancer doctors as well, doesn't it?
Exactly. But I guess she is fitter than she will ever be. And it's almost like, well, you've kind of come so far. How much further can you go?
Yeah,
So
she is. She is a legend already
so there
in
we
my
go.
eyes. The wonderful Lucy.
Rob, have we covered Kona there? We've done an all right job.
I think we've blathered on about it, Hels, for about 50 minutes, judging by this. If there's anybody still listening, we'll we'll get you some of Helen's delicious veggie chili next time we see you.
Oh,
Top marks for that, by the way, Helen.
thank
Top
you.
marks for the veggie chili at the Kona
I'll
party.
give you a little cheeky little recipe here. It's a very, very simple one. Have you ever had a naked bar?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, you can make your own really, really easily. Get a cup of nuts, so any kind of nuts. Get about 15 dates and get a cup of dried fruit. If you want to make them even more, interesting, chuck in a few oats, and I mean a few because you don't want it too dry. You could pop in a little bit of desiccated coconut if you wanted to. You could even put in a little bit of raw cacao powder. Essentially, whiz it all up in the blender, and it forms into a ball. Put it in the fridge. Get it out after about an hour. Put it between two bits of greaseproof paper. Roll it out to the thickness of a bar. Cut it up. Stick it in the fridge. 2 weeks they'll last. Bish bosh bash. Homemade energy bars.
Love it. Look at that, Helen.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to give that a bit of a try.
Try
That
it.
sounds
They are
delish.
delicious. So.
Yeah, man. That's
Yeah,
good.
there we go. Cheeky little recipe there thrown in.
Oh, it's all good. Do you know what, Hels? Let's wrap up the show.
I think so. I think we've probably tired out of Kona.
Up.
Probably not as tired as everyone who, crossed that finish line by any stretch of the imagination. However, I'm probably bored of talking now, and you're probably bored of listening. You can sort of follow us on Twitter at any time. We're at Cup of Try. You can go back and hear previous episodes if you go to www.oxygenaddict.com/podcast. You can find out more there. And we'll be back next week with probably an interview.
Probably.
Yeah, probably an interview. Hopefully Rob won't have a cold.
I've done all right, I think. I've not been doing too much sniffing, have I?
A little bit here and there.
Or have I?
A little bit here and there.
Oh, do you know what? I'll apologise again because when you listen back to it, that sniff, it sounds like there's an elephant at the end of it.
Yeah.
Pop up! All right, let's wrap it up. Come on. Thanks very much for listening, everyone. You've been listening to the Cup of Triathlon podcast. Our sponsors again have been oxygenaddict.com, fueledbycake.com, and raceforce.co.uk. If you're interested in using the services of the wonderful Kate at Raceforce, you can get 10% off using the code COT10, all in capital letters. You've still got the chance to race out in Sardinia and also out in Mallorca at Challenge Half Peguera.
That's this weekend, Rob.
Is it?
Yeah, Peguera's this weekend.
You're going to have to be fast if you want to get out there with Kate then.
You might have missed the bike bus on that one.
So, next week we'll have the results from Challenge Peguera then.
Yeah.
All right, good stuff. And just a big hello to everyone that we met on or everyone that I met on the Evans Sportif ride at the weekend. I got my legs ripped off by the wonderful Andy Heaps, who ended up pushing me up some hills. But if anyone's looking for a great, beautiful race, I'll tell you what, Hells, the scenery was magnificent.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I'm going to have to take you out and do that ride sometime.
Definitely. That'd be cool.
Really cool. All right, everyone, wrap it up. Train hard, be safe, and we will see you again next week. Cheers, Helen.